Hi, welcome to Parenting Challenging Kids. I am Dr. Michelle Alden. Today I'm going to be talking about parenting kids that maybe come from hard backgrounds, adopted kids, kids that have very insecure attachments. They may be clingy to you in one moment and pulling away other times. And this comes from a question that adoptive parents have asked me, in particular a parent that adopted a couple of children from foster care, and then just a few years in, maybe not even a few years, just feeling like it's so difficult and so challenging, and that maybe there wasn't even a honeymoon period. As soon as the adoption was set to take place, a lot of times we'll see a lot of really outrageous behavior from the kids. So I'm gonna talk about all of this and hopefully encourage you if you're a parent in this situation. I've found also that kids with special needs, kids that are really demanding of your time, and that it feels like it's a void that you cannot fill. That's what this parent was asking. She was saying that no matter how much she gives, how many times she feels like she's attending to the needs of this child, that it's like they just continue to suck it out of you. And I likened it to being pecked to death by a duck, right? Like it's just this constant need. And some kids are more that way than other kids, especially our kids that come from really hard places. It's never enough. As soon as they get one thing, they're looking for the next thing that they can get. And it's kind of almost a taking kind of behavior too. But I think that it really, when adoption, especially in trauma, it comes from kind of that insecurity in them. And so it can feel really controlling. And I know a lot of parents end up feeling really like they're in these battles all day long, and that the child is trying to control them and manipulate them. So I want to hopefully give you some hope about all of that. So this parent said, I have this one that I adopted that is just very, very needy, very demanding of my time and attention, and I know that I'm like angry and resentful sometimes, and so I'm not always handling it very well. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I just feel like I'm failing because I can't give enough, I can't do enough, and so I have to sometimes just remind myself of all the things that I did that day that I did right, and then by the end of the day I'm still just like, and facing the next day just seems so daunting. And it's so true. You can just, that feeling is so prevalent with most of the parents that I coach. So this whole thing with your children that are really needy and really demanding is really understanding that they don't really, like, you may feel like they're not respecting my boundaries, and that is true because they don't really understand that, and they may feel like they may be telling you, especially if they're older, you don't respect my boundaries, but they have no idea of what boundaries are or what they mean. And I find that a lot of times moms that are feeling this way also are really struggling with setting boundaries. And so I want to say first that a lot of parents too, when they adopt and then they have these really hard struggles, and they may feel like their biological children are suffering, maybe the whole family, it feels like everyone's suffering because this child and the challenges, that parent a lot of times may start to feel like, maybe I made a mistake, maybe we shouldn't have done this, or maybe I signed up for more than I could handle. But I just want to say to you that you are the right parent for this child. This child is in your home, and you may know this in your brain, right? That if you hadn't stepped in, then you are actually doing a job that nobody else wanted to do or was able to do at that time in their life. And so whether you're a grandparent adopting, or a family member, or as child was a stranger before they came to you, you are the right family for this child. And the other piece of that is, this is different. It is hard, and there are challenges that you're not it's not the same as with your other kids. I had 5 biological children, and I adopted my son out of foster care. He was around 12, and even with all the training I had, I mostly worked with adoptive families at that time. There were a lot of times where I was like, wow, like this is really hard. And you feel like I thought I was a pretty good parent before, and now I'm not sure. And that is perfectly normal to experience. But I want you to just at least tell yourself like that. And I used to do this for myself, like I am doing something that nobody else in his family wanted to do. And yes, it is hard. And I do believe we can do hard things, but I think it's important to realize that it is going to take probably a different set of parenting skills than you had before. And I think that's huge to acknowledge when people tell you like, oh, all kids do that, or my kids did that too, and they don't really understand the level and the depth of what you're talking about. And that can be really frustrating. And so you start to feel kind of isolated because you're not dealing with the normal things that everybody else is dealing with. And so I just offer to you to really take advantage of coaching, support groups, and things like that. I personally have a group of parents that I coach. It is open coaching. You can bring any situation, and I coach you through it, and you can come every week and have a situation. I have some parents that's like, this is what the coaching that they get, and everyone gets to benefit because they hear from your struggles and what's going on. And so I just want to invite you to that. I call it the Playroom. You can find it on parentingchallengingkids.com. I will put in the notes where you can find that. Right now it's October, and until the end of October, I'm going to offer the Playroom for free. So if you go on my YouTube channel, you see that there's a video about that. I'm going to offer 2 weeks of the Playroom for people to be able to just get a taste of what that's like to join in and to hear other people get coached, and get coached if you want, even if you're brand new and you've never seen it before. So I just want to welcome you to do that. By the time you hear this video, probably only have 1 week, so hurry and do it and get signed up. So go to parentingchallengingkids.com, go to the Playroom, and or leave comments in this end of this video, and I will get you the link for that free session. So having said that, you need that help and support because it is challenging. So with your kids that are wired differently, and sometimes it's because of the trauma and the attachment style of what they're going through, you're gonna need to really look at where your boundaries are and not feel like you're always I think we have to look at the challenges that our kids go through too. So it's like admitting to yourself that this is hard, but maybe being able to admit to yourself that where they are is hard too. But we're also not here to just try to take away the hardness of what has happened to them or why they're this way. And we're not trying to deny it in ourselves, but we're acknowledging, yeah, this is really hard. And also it's hard for this child as well. And in doing that, I think it helps us maybe take a step back from the situation and realize, okay, there's some struggles here, and how do we overcome it, rather than looking at like I just want to find an answer or a quick fix to it, or I want this child to realize like it doesn't have to be this hard because it's so much better now, and yeah, you have me and all these things, right? But you're fighting against something that's inside of them that they can't quite overcome yet. They don't have the cognitive ability and the emotional ability to overcome it. So you're modeling over and over that yes, sometimes you may be impatient, and sometimes you may have to tell them that no, not right now, like you need to wait, or I don't want a hug right now, and having them go do something else for a minute, and that you always come back. Like they need to know that too, because if they have insecure attachment, their fear is that if I'm not right in your face, if I'm not in your space, if I'm not making a lot of noise, if I'm not chattering to you incessantly, then I'm going to be lost or forgotten. And they can't tell you that. They're just acting it out, right? But they get to learn through experience that there are times when I have to wait for mom, and then she does come back to me and she does help me. So I think that it's important to know that those are some of the boundaries that you have to set and that your kids have to learn. It's all really a lot of their impulsive behavior. When they want something, they want it right now. And that's a lot of times why they don't even want to ask for something. They just take it because they don't want to risk having to wait, and they don't want to risk that you might say no. But our kids need to learn that even if they're denied a request, the world is not going to end. It may feel like it to them, and then they're going to have some hard emotions about that we're going to have to help them through. Like, I know you're really disappointed, but we can work through this. This video isn't about how to do all of that. I just want to let you know that this is common and that these are things that you're going to want to look at, how to do that, how to kind of ride those things out with your child, and just give you some hope that you're not just making this up, that it's harder than it seems like it should be, because at the end you may be like, what was so hard about that? Like, she just wanted a hug, right? But I think that it can produce a lot of guilt in us too. I've talked to a lot of parents who are like, I can't tell them I'll hug them later. Like, how, just they've been so angry at me and now they want a hug and I should just be able to give them a hug. It's like, right, but you're a person too, and we want to teach our kids to respect people. We don't just jump into their space and grab them because we feel like grabbing them, just like we don't jump into their space and hit them because we are mad and feel like hitting them. So part of that space and boundary issue has to be taught kind of in this, I call it the 3-foot rule. It's like we don't go in someone's space without asking. And just because your child asks you for something, even though you know that they might have a huge fit because they didn't get it, it's still okay to say, not right now, or you know what, I'm busy, in 15 minutes I will come back to you, or I will address this with you. So I think just thinking about that in terms of where you can negotiate that first in your own, being in your own thought process of, am I making it so that I am like a convenience store that's open 24/7, or do I have some on and off buttons here? Do I have some space in my day where I can have my child doing something and I can tell them, that if they come to me and I'm doing something, that I can tell them that I need 10 more minutes and then I can address their needs. We want to start building that resiliency in our kids to be able to handle kind of those starts and stops in just a minute. And I want you to think too, like in a school with kids, they learn this, right? Like they're supposed to. That's part of why we have them raise their hand and wait. And then when our kids that are neurodivergent, like they hate that, right? Having to wait. And so they get up or they jump up, but they start to learn like that you have to wait till you're called on, or you wait until you're given this option, some things like that. So it's all part of their development and growth. And I think when we look at it that way, that we're building some skills and it's part of I think it helps to not be so resentful of what it feels like they're doing to us, because I can tell you that your child is not trying to do this to you. They are in survival mode, and this is what their brain is telling them is going to keep them alive. And so we have to help them to learn a different way so that their brain can start to see like, oh, mom says 10 minutes and she sets a timer, and then she comes back and we can do this in 10 minutes, or whatever it takes for you to follow through and to model that for your children. And even if you lose it and you get really impatient and you're like, I just leave me alone, and you push your child away because their behaviors are, maybe in a way feels like it's creating that for you, that you can also come back and say, you know what, I didn't handle that the way I want to, and I'm ready now to help you with this, or read that book with you, or you can come sit by me. I need to work for a few more minutes, but if you can sit here next to me and be quiet, or whatever it is, if you can work through that, you also are teaching your child really good things about being human and overcoming and even overcoming our own shortcomings. So keep those things in mind, that you're doing a job that nobody else wanted to do or could do, and it's fallen on you, but you are the best parent for this child, and that determination of that you're going to teach the skills. It doesn't make you a good parent or a bad parent when your child has these struggles and you have to spend extra time teaching skills that maybe other kids learned when they were toddlers. Your child didn't learn it. It's never too late to turn it around. And then the other thing I want you to remember is that it is difficult and you probably do need help and support. And I have that available for you, but there's other places you can go for that help if you would like. And then just changing that tape in your head that's telling you that you're failing, and realizing that you're not failing, that you're living out this experience with your child, and that you're learning and they're learning and growing too. So like and subscribe to this channel, and look in the notes below, and I will send you a link to sign up for the Playroom so you can get some free coaching for a couple of weeks. Thanks.